Hello everyone, welcome back to my channel. Before we dive in, make sure you hit that subscribe button and like this video because what I'm about to reveal will completely change how you see younger women and the way they interact with older men. And I promise this isn't what you've been told on TikTok or dating blogs. This is raw truth, the kind of truth that most men never get to hear, and it can either protect you or break you. Let's start by addressing the obvious. Younger women are drawn to older men, but not always for the reasons you hope. It's not just stability or experience or the way you carry yourself. There's a hidden calculus at work. A mix of admiration, curiosity, and sometimes a subtle sense of testing boundaries. What you perceive as connection might actually be her measuring your value, her interest, and your emotional availability, often without you even realizing it. Here's the first harsh truth. She will mirror the energy she detects from you. If you approach her with insecurity masked as charm, she'll see through it. She'll flirt, tease, engage, but she's not committing to your feelings. She's studying your reactions. She wants to see if you're strong, grounded, and unshakable. The moment you show desperation, the dynamic shifts. And yes, this can feel cruel, but it's psychology, not malice. Understanding this is the first step to protecting your heart. Now consider the subtle language of attention. Younger women will often test your patience in ways that seem trivial but are psychologically revealing. A delayed reply, a casual brush-off, or even playful teasing, it's all data. She's mapping out your boundaries, your tolerance, and how you handle emotional uncertainty. Older men often misinterpret this as disinterest or even manipulation, when in fact it's instinctual behavior designed to gauge security and confidence. Here's something most men miss. She's not just testing you in isolation. Every action is influenced by the social lens she carries, the opinions of her friends, her own insecurities, and yes, your perceived status. Older men are often treated like experiments in power dynamics without realizing it. She's evaluating not only your emotional stability, but your capacity to lead and maintain control in ways that feel safe but exciting. By now, you may feel a little uneasy, and that's good. That unease is exactly what separates men who understand female psychology from those who remain oblivious. The more you see these patterns, the less likely you are to fall into traps of over-investing, over-explaining, or over-caring before the bond is firmly established. If you're ready, I'm going to take you deeper into the hidden behaviors that almost every younger woman exhibits with older men, and by the end, you'll be able to spot them in real time, before your heart gets attached in ways that leave you vulnerable. Let's get even more real. One of the most overlooked truths about younger women with older men is how they subtly shift between admiration and testing. You may feel flattered when she laughs at your jokes, leans in close, or mirrors your body language. But here's the secret. These behaviors are not always signs of attraction. They are tools to evaluate. She's constantly asking herself, consciously or unconsciously, can he handle me? Can he handle the complexity I bring? Will he crumble under my unpredictability? And the men who fail to recognize this often mistake attention for affection, and that's where the danger begins. Younger women are experts at reading emotional signals, and older men, especially those who've experienced past rejection or loneliness, can unintentionally broadcast vulnerability. When she senses this, she will unconsciously push boundaries, not to hurt you, but to see if your frame is strong. Small acts, cancelling plans, delayed responses, even flirtatious teasing are ways she measures your stability. Your reaction is a mirror for her. If you panic, if you over-explain, or if you seek validation, she notices. And in many cases, that reaction will determine whether she invests more interest or quietly withdraws while keeping you attached. Another layer most men never recognize is the social dynamics that shape her behavior. Her friends, her past experiences, even societal narratives about older men influence how she interacts with you. She may project curiosity and excitement, but simultaneously hold back, unsure if attachment is safe or convenient. This duality, wanting closeness but testing your limits, is exhausting for men who are unaware of it, but it's her way of protecting herself emotionally while exploring her options. Here's a crucial point. Younger women can be wildly inconsistent. One moment she's warm, engaging, playful. The next she's distant, distracted, or emotionally unavailable. If you interpret this as a personal rejection, you miss the truth. This is her navigating her own boundaries. The stronger, calmer, and more grounded you remain, the more likely she is to respect your presence. Weakness or neediness, however, accelerates detachment. Older men often fall into the trap of over-investing emotionally before clarity has been established. They give, and when they finally pause, she perceives it as disinterest, pulling further away. Understanding this hidden pattern is not about manipulation. It's about awareness. It's about recognizing the dance for what it is, so you can remain unshakable, confident, and discerning. By the end of this discussion, you'll not only understand why younger women act the way they do, but you'll also know exactly how to respond so you maintain control, attract respect, and prevent heartbreak. The patterns are subtle, but once you see them, nothing about her behavior will surprise you again. Now let's talk about one of the most misunderstood behaviors of younger women around older men, the push and pull. This is where emotions get tangled, and most men fall into the trap without realizing it. You see, younger women often create subtle tension intentionally, not out of cruelty, but because they are wired to assess long-term stability. Every text left unread, every flirtatious comment followed by sudden withdrawal is a test. It's a psychological probe to see if you can remain grounded, patient, and self-assured even when she is unpredictable. The men who crumble here are the ones she quietly discards, sometimes without a word, because they fail the invisible stress test before it's even officially started. Here's a harsh but vital truth. Your desire for her approval is your weakness. When you chase validation, you play into her experiment, and the more you chase, the more she pulls away. This isn't about you being inadequate, it's about her instinctively seeking proof of resilience, confidence, and emotional control. She wants to know, can this older man handle the natural uncertainty of human emotion? Or will he fold at the first sign of tension? Understanding this flips the dynamic completely. Once you stop reacting to her fluctuations, the power subtly shifts back to you. Many older men make the mistake of rationalizing behavior that's designed to test them. They convince themselves, she must like me, she's just busy, or she's just playful. Meanwhile, the real test is happening silently. She observes not just your reactions, but the rhythm of your engagement. Are you steady? Do you maintain boundaries? Can you enjoy your life without needing constant reassurance? If the answer is yes, she begins to respect and sometimes even crave your stability. If not, she perceives fragility, and that fragility becomes the invisible wedge that pushes her away, often without her consciously realizing it. Another key factor is excitement versus security. Younger women are drawn to older men because they instinctively recognize wisdom, life experience, and stability, but excitement is what keeps them emotionally engaged. If you provide only security without a spark of unpredictability, the dynamic stagnates. If you provide only excitement without groundedness, the dynamic collapses. The men who navigate this balance effortlessly create magnetic presence. They are not manipulated, they are simply aligned with the psychological currents she's testing for. Recognizing this push and pull for what it is, an emotional test rather than a judgment of your worth, is liberating. It allows you to stay calm, observe patterns, and respond strategically rather than reactively. You no longer feel like the victim of her moods. Instead, you see the structure beneath her behavior. And when you finally master this, her respect, attraction, and genuine attention shift from tentative to inevitable. Let's go deeper into what most men never fully grasp. Younger women will often engage in what I call emotional triangulation. This is subtle, almost imperceptible, but it's powerful. She might mention a friend, an ex, or even casually compare you to someone else, not to hurt you, but to gauge your reaction. She's measuring your confidence, your emotional resilience, and your sense of self-worth. The key here is not to overreact, not to justify, not to argue, but to remain composed. Your calm is far more revealing than any words you could say. It signals security, control, and emotional independence, the very traits she's subconsciously seeking in an older man. Another layer that most men miss is how younger women unconsciously test loyalty versus convenience. She's evaluating, if I challenge him, if I create minor tension, will he still value me? Will he step up or step back? Older men often confuse these tests with manipulation or disinterest. In reality, she's measuring your capacity for patience and emotional intelligence. Those who fail, fail silently. The connection wanes without dramatic confrontation. Those who succeed maintain a quiet authority, and without saying a word, they command attention, respect, and attraction. Here's a difficult truth. She will often reflect back your energy more than she shows her own. If you're anxious, needy, or uncertain, she mirrors it. If you're grounded, playful, and confident, she mirrors that. This is why self-awareness and emotional regulation are non-negotiable. You are being constantly evaluated, not through overt demands, but through subtle behavioral echoes. The men who recognize this and adapt internally without external displays of desperation automatically shift the balance of power in their favor. Now let's talk about emotional scarcity. Younger women are drawn to older men precisely because of the perceived balance between availability and independence. If you are too available, you lose intrigue. If you are too detached, you risk being perceived as indifferent. The line is razor thin, and it's what separates men who remain magnetic from men who get ghosted after initial interest. It's not about playing games, it's about understanding natural psychological dynamics and responding with measured, intentional presence. Finally, understand this. Nothing she does is purely random. Every seemingly contradictory behavior, flirtation followed by distance, excitement followed by aloofness, is a reflection of internal tests. Recognizing patterns allows you to stay calm, make empowered choices, and avoid the heartbreak that comes from misreading signals. You no longer chase her approval. You guide the dynamic consciously, with emotional intelligence as your compass. Once you see this clearly, everything changes. Now let's uncover one of the most misunderstood truths about younger women with older men. They are emotionally curious, but often strategically cautious. Their curiosity drives them to seek experiences with older men, to explore maturity, confidence, and wisdom, but they are not reckless with their emotions. Every smile, every subtle touch, every moment of engagement is measured. She's asking herself, sometimes unconsciously, is he stable enough to handle my unpredictability? Does he respect his own boundaries? Can he maintain his frame even when I challenge him? And most men miss it entirely because they interpret warmth as commitment, flirtation as exclusivity. This is where older men often misstep. They assume interest equals attachment. It doesn't. She might invest emotionally, but she's constantly scanning for consistency and emotional strength. Minor tests, hesitation, delayed responses, playful contradictions are her way of ensuring that you are not simply a convenience, but a man who can sustain presence under pressure. Your reactions reveal more than your words ever could. If you crumble, over-explain, or chase, the experiment is failed. If you remain steady, grounded, and self-assured, attraction grows quietly but powerfully. Let's talk about authenticity versus performativity. Younger women can detect when an older man is trying too hard to impress. Confidence that is contrived, charm that is forced, generosity that seeks validation. She senses it immediately. Authenticity is magnetic. Pretense is repellent. The men who succeed are those who embody their experience naturally, who demonstrate calm, controlled energy without seeking approval. She doesn't need your validation. She wants your integrity and your emotional clarity. That's what makes older men uniquely attractive, but it's also why so many fail. They allow their insecurities to leak into the interaction, and she picks up on it instantly. Another hidden dynamic is emotional pacing. Younger women often need slower, measured emotional progression. They test patience by creating small uncertainties, questions, playful teasing, or even temporary withdrawal. How you respond in these moments defines the trajectory of the relationship. The men who overreact, overcompensate, or push too hard trigger disengagement. The men who remain grounded, intentional, and respectful of the pace gain trust and deepen attraction. Finally, remember this. Younger women are constantly evaluating, often unconsciously, but always perceptively. She is attracted not just to stability, wealth, or experience, but to men who project control over themselves, over their emotions, and over the dynamic without coercion. When you understand this, you no longer feel like a player in her game. You see the patterns clearly, you respond strategically, and you protect your heart while maintaining magnetic presence. Mastering this knowledge is transformative. It's the difference between fleeting attention and lasting respect. Now, let's bring everything together, the final truth that most men never fully grasp about younger women and older men. By this point, you understand her subtle tests, her push and pull, her curiosity mixed with caution. But the ultimate truth is this. She is drawn to men who are emotionally sovereign. Emotional sovereignty isn't about arrogance or coldness. It's about mastery over your own mind, your own emotions, and your own energy. She instinctively recognizes a man who doesn't need constant approval, a man who is steady when she fluctuates, a man who commands presence without demanding it. This is the magnetic core that most older men overlook. Younger women measure not just what you say, but how you embody your life. Your reactions, your calm in the face of uncertainty, your ability to maintain boundaries, your focus on your own growth, all of these are far more persuasive than any compliment, gift, or clever line. If you overinvest before this foundation is built, she interprets it as desperation, and attraction collapses silently. But when you maintain sovereignty, she begins to mirror admiration, respect, and genuine emotional engagement. Attraction becomes organic, powerful, and crucially lasting. Here's another hard reality. She will sometimes test your willingness to walk away. This isn't manipulation, it's an emotional calibration. She wants to know if your sense of self is intact, if your value is internal rather than dependent on her approval. Men who cling, beg, or over-explain fail this test. Men who step back, who remain confident in their worth, often ignite a deeper level of respect and even desire. This is the psychological leverage that older men can naturally wield when they understand her inner framework. Remember, younger women are instinctively attuned to strength, but they also respond to unpredictability when it's grounded in stability. Excitement paired with calm, curiosity paired with control, admiration paired with independence. This combination creates irresistible presence. If you embody it, you no longer react to her moods, instead you guide the emotional rhythm. She is drawn in naturally, without games, without force, without neediness. Finally, realize this. Understanding her psychology is not about manipulation, it's about self-mastery. The more you see clearly, the less likely you are to be hurt, misled, or undervalued. You gain the ability to choose, to respond intentionally, and to command respect while maintaining attraction. This knowledge transforms interactions from uncertainty and anxiety into clarity and power. Once you internalize these truths, her behavior no longer controls you. Your presence controls the dynamic. You step into a space where admiration, respect, and genuine connection are inevitable. That is the final unspoken advantage older men hold when they truly understand younger women.